It's not God I don't accept, Alyosha, only that I most respectfully return him the entrance ticket. Ivan Karamazov is not presenting a simple rejection of the divine. He acknowledges the possibility of a creator, but he refuses to accept the world that creator has authored. Dostoevsky places the real terror in Ivan's desire. He cannot stop wanting to believe, even while finding the moral cost of that belief too high to pay. This reframing forces the problem of evil out of the lecture hall and into an agonizing, unresolvable crisis of conscience. Fyodor Dostoevsky built this crisis on the foundation of a brutal life, years of Siberian exile, a crippling gambling addiction, and debilitating epileptic seizures. Following the death of his 3-year-old son, Dostoevsky began the Brothers Karamazov. It was his final attempt to answer the question of God's existence, a question he confessed had tormented him throughout his life. He anchored the novel to a terrifying catalyst. If there is no God, everything is permitted. Without immortality, human egoism becomes the only logical law. The manuscript functions as a raw, bleeding dramatization of doubt, bypassing traditional logical defenses of faith. Understanding Dostoevsky's personal torment validates the inquiry. His philosophy was forged in real grief, giving these intellectual questions the weight of a life-or-death struggle. In the chapter titled Rebellion, Dostoevsky presents a relentless catalog of atrocities gathered from real-world accounts. It functions as a sustained philosophical treatise on human cruelty. Ivan directs his indictment specifically at the concept of divine justice. He is not arguing that God is absent, but that God's world is morally unacceptable. He focuses exclusively on the suffering of children. Because they are innocent, their pain cannot be explained away by free will or the choices of their ancestors. Ivan acknowledges a universe of absurd suffering, but refuses to transcend it if the price is the torture of a child. His logic is unyielding. If universal harmony requires one unavenged tear from an innocent, the cost of that harmony is too high. This stance moves past atheism into active rebellion, a moral refusal to accept a divine order built on systemic injustice. This conflict peaks in The Grand Inquisitor, set during the Spanish Inquisition. It imagines Christ returning, only to be arrested by the Church. The Inquisitor accuses Christ of offering the unbearable burden of absolute freedom, the agonizing necessity of choice. The Church offers bread and material security instead. Removing the agony of choice provides the weak masses a comfort that Christ's freedom lacks. The Inquisitor views himself as a tragic figure. He has taken the curse of knowledge upon his own shoulders, lying to humanity to protect them from the terror of their own free will. Christ answers with a single, silent kiss on the old man's lips. The kiss burns in his heart, but the old man adheres to his cold, earthly logic. The tragedy illustrates a terrifying premise, that love alone cannot overcome the structural logic of power and the human craving for security. The brothers represent two warring worldviews, Ivan as reason and Alyosha as faith. Ivan's strict adherence to reason prevents him from accepting or loving anything he cannot logically comprehend. Alyosha engages the world through an active, selfless love. He believes not because he has proof, but because he chooses to act. In Dostoevsky's thesis, faith acts as the transcendence of reason rather than its enemy. Relying solely on the rational mind isolates Ivan, eventually leading to paralysis and madness. Alyosha's faith, however, empowers him toward active, healing engagement with a suffering world. Dostoevsky does not use suffering as a rhetorical device. He uses it as an existential assault, forcing the reader to confront the visceral reality of Ivan's catalog. Ivan does not seek a logical answer or an intellectual justification. He demands only that the wound of suffering be acknowledged, choosing to remain with his indignation. Dostoevsky avoids the comfort of a clean resolution. He requires the audience to sit in the dark and feel a wound that logic cannot heal. The philosophical debate ends in a stalemate of grief. But for Alyosha, the intellectual work is only half the task. The rest must be done in the world. In our next episode, The philosophy of active love and Elder Zosima's radical ethics meet the modern world. We are left in the wreckage of an ideological collision. The Grand Inquisitor has finished his monologue, and the rebellion is complete. Ivan's challenge remains logically unsolved. Reason acts as a demolition tool. It strips away dogma and dismantles comfortable illusions. But once the scaffolding of faith is gone, it leaves a psychological void where meaning used to be. Dostoevsky is now confronting his own creation. He built a case for despair so thorough that he cannot dismantle it with words alone. The arguments are over. The actual struggle for survival has begun. Inside the monastery, Elder Zosima is a physical counterweight to Ivan's noise. He offers not a new syllogism, but a different way of being. Zosima warns that love in action is a harsh and dreadful thing compared to the sanitized version we find in our dreams. This love requires physical exertion, a direct encounter with the suffering person in front of you. It is the nurse who stays through the night, trading comfort for another's presence. This labor alone can truly erode doubt. Soren Kierkegaard described this as works of love. He argued that faith separated from physical action is merely a form of self-deception. Alyosha is ordered outside the monastery walls. He is sent to find the suffering, putting this philosophy to the test in the secular world. Dostoevsky's response to the problem of evil is not a clever thought. It is a commitment to act. While Alyosha moves towards others, Ivan retreats into his own mind. His reliance on pure logic isolates him until the world begins to feel thin and unreal. When the devil visits, he isn't a monster from the abyss. He is a hallucination, a cynical fragment of Ivan himself, mocking his own thoughts. This devil doesn't tempt him with power. He torments him with boredom. He proves that if everything is permitted, then nothing is significant. Friedrich Nietzsche would later describe this as the death of God, when the removal of the sacred leaves the human mind in total nihilism. Ivan has used his intellect to kill God, but his heart still demands a moral law. He is trapped between a world he cannot believe in and a vacuum he cannot live in. When reason destroys faith without offering a new anchor, the result is not liberation. It is an unlivable despair. We are currently living in the world Dostoevsky described. The meaning crisis of the 19th century has become the default state of the 21st. We see the modern Alyosha in those who identify as spiritual but not religious. They seek the community and the love, but they have grown weary of the doctrine and the institutions that once housed it. Ivan's struggle is mirrored in modern burnout. It is the exhaustion of the intelligent, sensitive person who sees the world's systemic suffering and finds that logic provides no reason to keep fighting it. The Grand Inquisitor's offer, comfort in exchange for freedom, has been rebranded as the self-care industry. It provides a way to numb the anxiety of existence without addressing the spirit that causes it. Dostoevsky's question has shifted. It's no longer just, does God exist? But can our psychology survive without a reason to love that is stronger than our reasons to despair? The novel ends not in a church, but at a stone where a young boy was buried. It is a scene defined by grief and shared memory. Alyosha tells the children that a single good memory of their time together is the most wholesome education they will ever receive. This is a quiet, shared pact. It isn't a grand solution to the problem of evil, but a baseline for survival. It is the foundational proof that there is more love in mankind than a purely rational mind can account for. We are left with a final question. If reason cannot justify faith, can faith ultimately justify reason? Ivan Karamazov did not die in 1880. His perspective has multiplied, becoming the modern default. If this video made you question the debt you owe to your own doubt, subscribe. Next, Heart of Darkness and the Philosophy of Evil. We reach for a moment of stillness, looking for a way to act, before the buzz of a notification pulls us back into the scroll. What do you see when you look into your own mirror?